Welcome, everyone, to the Seamless.AI daily training webinar. We will be starting here shortly in about 4 or 5 minutes, so I appreciate everyone joining us and look forward to sharing our demo as well as answering any questions that you might have through our Q&A. So as I mentioned, we will go ahead and get things started here momentarily. All right, so thanks everybody again for joining. As I mentioned, we will go ahead and get started here in the next 3 or 4 minutes. Just going to give everybody a few minutes to filter in and look forward to kicking things off. All right, thanks everybody. As I had mentioned here, we're just letting everybody filter in here. Another, 2 or 3 minutes typically allow, around 3 or 4 after the hour. And then we will go ahead and get things kick-started. You have with me Jake Phillips, who I lead product here at Seamless.AI. And then walking through our demonstration today will be David Tull, who is our Director of Customer Success. So David is now setting up his screen to share with everyone. And in a few moments, we'll go ahead and walk through the demo. But before we do that, real quick, I just wanted to highlight a couple things as part of this demo process. So there's a Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom conference line. And if you want to just click that Q&A button anytime you have any questions or need anything answered, David will be tracking that as well as myself, and we'll be walking everyone through the demonstration and answering those Q&A questions as they come up. So as you have any questions that arise, definitely let us know. If you need any questions clarified or any information further outlined, and we will do that as part of this process. So we will keep an eye on those Q&A. But without further ado, I'll go ahead and pass it over to my colleague David, and he will go ahead in a minute or two and get things kick-started.
Thank you, Jake. Really appreciate it. Just to confirm, can you hear me coming through okay?
Yes, I can.
All right, perfect. I'm glad you guys can see my screen. So like Jake said, I'll give us another minute or two. I do see a few more attendees joining, so we'll want to make sure that we get everybody on board for this review of our live real-time search engine designed for sales professionals to get you in contact with your total addressable market using the power of real-time search data. For a long time, our founders and everybody really everybody within our organization had been using more traditional database-style solutions that have dominated the marketplace for years. This product was really born out of everybody's dissatisfaction with that market and the need to get beyond what's included in those databases. I mean, our team found that they were missing about 80 to 90% of their total addressable market. That came largely from the experience of our founder and CEO, Brandon Bernanson, who was selling for Google and IBM and, trying to find a way to, not just hit quota, but to exceed expectations and, 10x his own results. And this is the result. This is the technology that we built in order to achieve those goals. And I always reinforce that because if you're on this webinar, you probably know a little bit about the product and about the history. If you don't follow Brandon on LinkedIn, I highly recommend it just because he's delivering a ton of value, not just when it comes to what we're doing as an organization, but his overall philosophy and approach to sales. But I always throw it in as a reminder as well, because when we jump into a new technology platform, we're usually hardwired to behave under a certain set of circumstances that we've learned over time. And if you're used to working in databases, probably going to jump into a technology solution like that and start acting like this is a database. And the biggest thing to remember is that it's not. It's a search engine. When you search over here, we are looking up real-time data on your behalf. And then not only are we pulling in contact information based on what we find, consuming multiple resources out there and pulling in all available information, We're also validating the information that we provide you to ensure that you're only reaching out to up-to-date, correct contact information, and we're providing you the data you need to make decisions about that validation accordingly. So it looks like we have everybody on board. So I'm going to jump into our tour of the product here in a moment. A quick agenda on some of the things that we'll look at so you can anticipate what we're going to go over today. We'll go over everything here in the platform, our app, Seamless.AI. We'll look at the contact search and company search, two separate searches that we built out to respond to real-time data as effectively as possible. We'll look a little bit at how to use those searches together as well. We'll also review your settings and make sure you know how to customize and personalize your experience within Seamless, and how to tie it into the rest of your tech stack, whether that's integrating it into your CRM or building data connections between the rest of the solutions and apps that you use to effectively market, sell, and close business with your customers. And then, we'll also take a look at our Chrome extension. See this little icon up here means I have it installed. And that allows you to take the power of Seamless.ai away from the app and pull contacts in as you browse elsewhere. We'll particularly take a look at LinkedIn and LinkedIn Sales Navigator, how that experience works. So that's a pretty high-level view of what we'll cover. Before we dive into that, I want to call out one or two quick things. Since I manage the customer success operation, these features are near and dear to my heart. If you're not on this webinar down the line, or if you're thinking to yourself, man, they covered something on that webinar and I really want to find a way to review it, or I have more questions, or you get deeper into using the platform and there's still something you're trying to figure out, don't worry. We still have you covered. We're only a click away right down here, that little help icon within the app. This gives you searchable access to our entire customer knowledge base. So if you have questions about integrating your CRM into Seamless, you type that in, hit enter, and here's a whole host of articles at your disposal on whether or not we integrate with your CRM. And you can click right into user guides on Salesforce, HubSpot, Zapier, different technology integrations that we provide. And then once you're here in the knowledge base proper, you can click through, browse, read individual units, look through promoted articles, leave comments. We have a couple of different pages here. You can keep an eye on our product roadmap, review release notes, stay up to date on what's yet to come, make recommendations on what else you'd like to see. And then we also regularly post recordings of these daily group training webinars right here in the knowledge base as well, so that you can always refer back to anything that we covered. You can actually access this specific webinar. We'll usually have it posted within about 24 to 48 hours. And then if you ever need just a general overview, or if you want to provide one to somebody on your team, got about a 25-minute on-demand onboarding training here as well. But as Jake mentioned earlier, on this webinar, the format that we'll follow is giving you this tour of the product. Please ask questions as you go. I generally try to answer questions as they come up and try to integrate them into the product tour, especially in a live setting like this. But rest assured that we will get to as many questions as we possibly can by the end of the hour to make sure we have you covered. One other feature I'll show you when it comes to getting ongoing support, you'll see this little tour icon up here. Now this is persistent across any page on the platform. So no matter where you are, this little tour icon will follow you. You can always click on it, and Jake, our VP of Product, so if you're wondering what Jake looks like, there he is, we'll walk you through an in-app AI-style tour of how to use the features that are on this page. You can always exit out of these if you want. You may even see some of those populate automatically if we roll out new features and want to make sure you have a view. But yeah, as you can see, if I click the tour icon here on this page, it's a different tour because it's responsive to where you are on the site and what you might need help getting set up, using, executing, anything you need. We'll take a closer look at those CRM settings in just a little bit. All right, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at the basic search functionality now and dive into how that works. So if you're jumping in to identify, our customers use this for a variety of use cases, right? I mean, the most common one is, I'd like to come in here and build a mass list at scale, identify as much of my total addressable market as possible beyond what I can get from a database, and get validated real-time information that I can use to contact them. We have some clients who use it for that, and they'll also use it to look up individual people that maybe they're met at a conference and a name got thrown across the booth and they got to find a way to write it down. They didn't get a business card. Well, now you don't have to go manually searching through LinkedIn to try to guess what their email address is. You can look them up right here and get validated contact information as well. So people use Seamless in a variety of ways, like any search engine. Really, especially if you're on a Seamless.AI unlimited license, you have the leeway to cast a wide net, be creative, and find your $1 million list, your $1 million search idea. So we recommend making liberal use of the search functionalities here, especially if you're on that unlimited license, and creating multiple lists that'll help you get to the exact right way to target your total addressable market. So let's look at a couple of ways that we can do that. Now, in some cases, I might already know the company that I'd like to target. Let's say it is Nike. I have them as an example up there. And maybe there are particular titles that I'm trying to get after as well. So you'll see there I'm entering in titles like VP or director. Obviously, if we can get to the C-suite, we all want to target that audience. They're the strongest decision makers across any organization, right? Where we've seen a lot of clients have success, just a quick side note, pro tip based on some of our power users' positive experiences, because they have unlimited search, you're not paying per lead. If you're on an unlimited license, you're not in a database kind of getting nickel and dimed into different tiers of contact level. You have access to the rest of this market, and you can run campaigns against some of these VPs and directors who are often decision makers in their organization to see how effective it is. Because honestly, at the end of the day, you're trying to get to more qualified book meetings and more closed business. So that is something that we provide as a pro tip, again, to kind of break out of the mindset and the habits that traditional databases have forced on us, to share with you that a lot of clients have had success when they broaden their net and go after some of these additional titles. But for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to go ahead and search for those along with Nike and hit that search button. And now, as you can see, now actually this is an interesting example, right? Because I have already got some contacts saved here from previous searches for Nike. However, I don't have Patty yet. So if I click find, Seamless is going to pull in contact information for Patty Johnson and validate it. We'll show you how in just a moment. While that's being researched, I'm going to go ahead and let me click forward a little bit and see if I can find some additional contacts here we go. So this is probably a better representation of what you'll experience when you're running some of these searches. So if I click individually on find for these contacts, it's going to show you exactly what you saw on the previous page. We'll start to pull in email addresses and phone numbers for these individuals. Now, it's tempting for me to just skip right to that and I want to get that contact information, right? There's one thing I'm going to have you do first that I recommend to everybody that you use to keep your contacts organized so that you can think 3 steps ahead of yourself to when you're going to be importing these contacts into your CRM, downloading them onto a spreadsheet, anything that's going to help you take them out of Seamless and into the mechanisms that you're using to contact customers. We make that easy for you so you don't just have to download all of your contacts that you've ever searched for and figure out how to organize them in Excel. Right here next to Find All is Set Default List. So anytime you're searching, I would recommend having a default list set that helps you keep these contacts organized. Now in this case, I've already got a list for Nike DMs. So I can select that list, and when I hit Find All, not only are these contacts going to be researched and validated by our multi-step AI process, they're also being saved in that default list for Nike DMs. And if I switch over to my contacts, they're still on that list as they get pulled in. Now, we'll go back into some information on the contact information that we pull and the validation we perform in just a moment, but I'm going to skip a few steps ahead to show you why it's so important to keep these lists organized. From within my contacts, once I've completed these searches, this is where I can import leads into my CRM if I have it integrated, or I can download leads into an Excel spreadsheet for further segmentation or upload it into another technology platform after manipulating it, any number of things depending on your strategy and your business rules. Now, right now, this is set to download everything, any contact I've ever saved in Seamless. And right now, if I scroll down here, I can get a count. This would be downloading all 2,297 contacts. Once they're saved, I'm able to get that count in place down here. But let's say I only want to download the ones from Nike. Well, that's pretty straightforward. Each one of these columns has a filter that I can apply. So I hit that filter for list, scroll down to Nike DMs, hit apply, and now I'm only seeing contacts that are on that list. And I can validate that down here that I only have 20 contacts saved. Now, of course, I haven't gone all the way to building this list out, so I could probably get more contacts if I wanted. I'll go back into search to do that in a moment. But if I wanted to download this list, when I go back up here to download, instead of hitting all, I'll hit download filtered, and that will pull for me a list just including these decision makers at Nike that I've pulled in here today, not all of them. So that's really the easiest way to make sure that you're keeping your contacts organized campaign by campaign. And these lists can be where you track your measure of success. It's really what we recommend. All it takes is one list, one set of parameters where you got it right and you figured out a way to reach beyond the normal scope of your total addressable market that you find in a database. And that list can unlock everything else as you continue to market to it, prospect it, and eventually book and close business. So along those lines, there are some other filters that you can employ. You can make sure that you only include validated email or limit it to company phone or contact phone. Now let's talk about that for a moment. Validated email. So what are we doing to validate these email addresses? Well, I will show you. And of course, that's something you've ever questioned about. You can search for it right here in our knowledge base and find more information about different validation that we perform on contact data. If you're in-app and you're looking to learn more, anytime you click on this contact information, we're going to show you exactly what we searched and how in order to procure this contact information. So we found this phone number associated with that contact over 5,000 times, which is why we're recommending it. And on the email level, not only did we find this email address associated with Bonnie Flynn 2,368 times, but we also sent a virtual email to the server at Nike.com and are reporting back to you on the response that we got. So all of these emails that we found some permutations out there, and we saw that this was out there in the space. Our search engine pulled it back, right? Well, we want to go one better than that. We don't just want to show you what it pulled back. We want to show you what validation we received when we sent out a virtual email to that server. So we know that all of these emails, no touch. Don't use those. Use the ones that are valid. You might also sometimes see a status accept all for some of these, and that means that we received a message back from the server that is accepting all emails sent to that address. It's not quite as strong a signifier as that valid is, but most of our clients still use accept all. We do have some that will differentiate between the accept all status and the valid status. That is something that if you have questions, we have some documentation here in the Knowledge Center that walks you through exactly what that means and recommends some best practices. We want to make sure that not only are we giving you this information and searching for it, but that we're performing validation against it and delivering that data to you so you can act accordingly. So you can see this for any of the contacts that you pull up for anybody you search. And then if you want to just include valid emails on your download or your import, that's something you can do. So another feature that I'll show you here, and again, this is something you can view directly from contacts that you've searched for or within My Contacts. This Intel column, you'll notice that you have links out to their LinkedIn profile, Twitter profile, Facebook profile if we're able to get to it. And then this actually relates to our CRM integration. I'll touch on that in a moment. That's a logo for HubSpot. First, I'm going to show us what this contact intelligence feature looks like. Now, I like to show this to people because it helps to answer the question, where are you getting your information? Right? It's a search engine, so what are we searching? Well, we're searching all available data that we can find. Obviously, LinkedIn is a part of that because there's a fair amount of information about professionals on LinkedIn, but we're not scraping any of their data. We're just taking what's publicly available and validating it for you, along with research we're performing across news articles, conferences, websites, anything we can find out there that refers to these contacts. And then one of the ways you can check up on that is by clicking on this contact intelligence page. And again, just hover right here in Intel, click on that contact intelligence icon. And actually, most of our customers, and in fact, our team internally, when we're looking to grow our audience and market the product, we'll use this to perform intelligent script building to get in here and to learn a little bit more about these contacts. We can look up their financials, SEC filings, paid search keywords, social media mentions, employee reviews. We can pull together anything that would help us create a personalized pitch for Bonnie that would help us get our product in front of her, demonstrate value, and demonstrate that we know a little bit about who she is and what she needs. And ultimately, that drives back to our mission, the reason we're doing all of this, right? I mean, obviously, we would love to get the power of this product in the hands of as many sales professionals as possible and grow our business. But, you know, the core problem that we want to try to solve is making sure that if you're in sales, if you're marketing a product, if you've got something that you believe is going to change the world and you just have to get it in the right hands, then let's help you cut through the noise and get in touch with the right people. And you can use the power of real-time search to accomplish that. You can take the information you find in this contact and company intelligence to personalize your response and demonstrate to Bonnie that you went through some effort to find her. Now, this message isn't just going to anybody. It's looking for people like Bonnie whose lives are going to be changed by your product. So we're always trying to get us closer and closer to a world where, you know, you're not spending your time talking to people who don't want to hear from you, and the people who don't want to hear from you don't have to talk to you either. But the contact intelligence is a feature I always like to pull up there because it's easy to rush right to building a list. Obviously, we want to drive value, but this is a good place to stop and check if you want to validate where exactly we're pulling information from and perform some intelligent script building to personalize your pitch. A few more features to call out as we head back into my contacts. As you can see, we differentiate phone numbers here between direct line and company line, and you can filter by that accordingly as well if you have a campaign where you only want to include contact phone, because we won't always find that data. For instance, we don't have a direct line that we were able to validate for Greg, so we didn't include that. If you only want to reach out to contacts that have a direct line listed, that's something that you can filter for. Same thing with validated email address. All right, I'm going to jump back into search real quick because I want to demonstrate one more piece of the puzzle when it comes to search. And this is less about functionality and more about a behavior that our power users have adopted. And that is to move with confidence. So I've got my filters applied. I'm confident that this is the way I want to go. Maybe I want to fine tune it a little bit more, right? Maybe I'd like to focus on marketing. So I'm going to add that as a keyword. And that's going to help me pull in decision makers who don't necessarily have marketing in their title, but maybe they have marketing somewhere in their description so that they're connected to it somehow, right? Again, I'm trying to cast a broad net. So I've already got some contacts here that I found, right? But let's say I've applied that search. I'm happy with these parameters. So now what I'm going to do, you'll notice when I was in my contacts, I have a count down here, right? Now in search, there isn't a count in place. That's because every time you click next, we go out and run that search again. So if Liz were to move from one role to another, as soon as we hit next, that information is going to update. So I'm going to hit find all. We're going to get all of these contacts on this page research, including the ones that I don't have. Again, I still have my Nike DMs default list set, so anybody I research is going to fall into that category. So as we're getting those pulled in, the next step that I'm going to perform is to move on to that next page. Now, this is the behavior that our power users exemplify. They'll move confidently and hit next and find all. So if you find yourself hitting next and find all, and next and find all, and next and find all, you are behaving like a power user. You've already got the parameters set up. You just got to move through those manual steps to make sure that you've got that list built out. So if you find yourself doing that and you wonder, am I doing this right? The answer is yes, you absolutely are. And now we can see those contacts being pulled in. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take a quick breath here. I haven't seen any questions come in yet, which is perfectly fine. But I learned from, not too many years, but enough years of teaching that sometimes it helps to just take a little breath and let that linger to see if any questions formulate, just to make sure we're covering them. I don't see any coming in yet, but that's perfectly fine. As they do crystallize for you, please go ahead, pop open that Q&A and send them over. We'll start working through them, okay? I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next stage of the demo, and that is looking at setup and personalization. Right up here, a little hamburger, right? We've got the 2 hamburger buns and the burger right there in the middle. I'm going to click on that, and there are a couple of places that I can look to personalize and set up my account. Obviously there's a settings that I can go through. If you're just setting up your account, this is a good place to start. It kind of walks you through some essentials to make sure that you have in place. If you click on that link and it hasn't already been checked, that'll take you out to the landing page for our Google Chrome extension, so you can download it and add it to your browser. and then you'll be able to add Seamless to your CRM. We have two native CRM integrations, one with Salesforce and one with HubSpot, the two top players in the space. And then we also have, if I click over here to connected apps, we have featured a connection with Zapier. Now I'm going to take a second to dive in here, because if you're not familiar with Zapier, let's say you use a CRM outside of HubSpot or Salesforce, right? Or you have other apps that you use like Dialer or an email marketing program. Zapier, while it's not a direct integration with those products, can help you connect the data that you pull in with Seamless to those products, so you can fire automations every single time you search or save a contact. So all I did was click on that invitation in Connected Apps to add to Zapier. Actually, we're in the process of working our way out of a beta group because we have so many users adopting this already. I say start using Seamless now, and I can continue through the account that I've got here in place with Zapier. Let me make sure this works. Wasn't expecting this to go through quite so many steps, guys. I apologize. Oh, okay. Well, it looks like I got to rerun that validation, but basically, if you open up your Zapier account, you're going to be able to connect Seamless to a variety of apps. Zapier already has them built out. You don't need to know any code. It's sort of a choose-your-own-adventure version of connecting data between two different programs. Because we have a connection with Zapier, you can set it up so that anytime you save a contact, a phone number, an email address, you can then trigger an action from another app. For instance, if you use dialers like SalesLoft or Mojo, you can build an automation so that every single time you save a phone number to Seamless, that phone number automatically populates in an existing call list in that app. You can build an automation that every single time you save an email address, and you can even add a filter to make sure that it's validated, you can have an email cadence fire off to that email address from Gmail, MailChimp, Outreach. That being said, we're going to continue to work on direct integrations with any product that we think is valuable to a sales team's tech stack. Our ambition is to make sure that you can integrate it effortlessly with anything that you're using as far as technology product goes. While we're working on those integrations, Zapier is going to be a great way for you to build some bridges, get creative, and we actually do have in our knowledge base here not only a user guide for Zapier, but even a couple of use cases for how it connects. Here we go. I'll go ahead and show you real quick just to make sure you know where to access it. We've got a full user guide here, and then some use cases for how to perform certain actions. And this is the experience that you'll see in Zapier once you log in and create an account. You'll set what action you want to trigger from Seamless, and then Zapier will walk you through step by step what you can perform in the other app, whether it's any one of these: Slack, Trello, Intercom, Google Sheets. Google Sheets is actually a really powerful integration because you can fire so much out of Google Sheets that if you don't have the step-by-step process set up here in Zapier, you can usually work something from there. But yeah, these are the types of actions that you can perform by making use of this partnership. And then, yes, as you can see here, you can map any of these fields accordingly. So it's definitely something to explore. And again, one of those ways to really drive results and efficiencies if you're going to go a little bit deeper. But let's also take a look here at the two integrations we have with Salesforce and HubSpot that don't require the use of Zapier. Obviously, the two most popular CRMs in the space. So we make it easy for you to just perform a one-click integration. All you have to do is go back to Connected Apps, click on these buttons. You'll just be asked to log into your HubSpot or Salesforce instance, and then everything connects automatically from there. From within these CRM settings, this is where you can perform some personalization on how you want that integration to behave. For instance, you can have leads automatically import to HubSpot, or you can choose to import them one at a time or in bulk imports. We can go back and review that in just a moment. And then we have the integration set up with some pre-populated mapping of data that we provide in Seamless.AI fields and corresponding HubSpot fields. We leave this modifiable up to you. You can come in here and make some changes. You can add new mappings if there's additional data being tracked in Seamless that would be useful, including some of those links that we were looking at before in the contact intel. If those are things you'd like to be able to just import directly into HubSpot or Salesforce, that's another instance of where that contact intelligence feature can be useful. If those are things you'd like to deliver directly into the hands of your SDRs or your AEs, you can set that up and then, have the corresponding mapping in place accordingly. You can also do custom mapping. So if there are fields that aren't currently in place in Seamless, but you would like to have the data imported for every Seamless lead that goes into your CRM, that's something you can do here as well. You can set whatever that you want that to be and then have the corresponding fields set up right there for you on that side. But definitely customizable, something you can set up to meet whatever your needs are. But like I said, we've got this pre-populated so that if you just need to set it up, you can go for it. One thing I would recommend before you turn on the automatic import, probably have this set to no at first, just so you can set up your mapping, import a couple of contacts, and make sure you like the look of everything. And if you don't have, I don't need to save the settings. Thank you for that pop-up, though, Paige. I appreciate that. I can always check how things are set up by clicking on that icon. It's going to automatically load that lead for me in HubSpot. And because I had my auto import settings on, Whitney's information is already saved here. And I can double check the fields that I had set up, including contact owner, phone number, email, etc. So as you can see, all of that information was automatically populated in HubSpot as soon as I said find for that contact. The Salesforce integration works almost exactly the same way. It's practically identical. And you can also, I should mention this, you can add mapping for company fields as well. One more thing to note here in settings, we'll look at user management. This is where you can go if you'd like to invite new members, add licenses. Really what we find is, we have a lot of different, breadth of customers. Some are entrepreneurs, some are SDRs investing in themselves. And of course, we have a number of customers that, are looking to unlock the power of what Seamless can do across their entire team and getting 40, 50, 60 licenses at a time. Or maybe they're getting 4 or 5 to validate it in a beta group, and then eventually they'll get 40 or 60, right? That's obviously what we're hoping for, assuming that we help elevate their success. But if you're ever looking to add licenses or manage users from within your own account, this is where you can do it. You can invite new members either as free or as unlimited, and you can from here very easily purchase new licenses. We do offer tiered pricing as soon as you start to get over 10 licenses per an account, but this is where you can keep all of that organized for yourself. And then actually, I don't always cover this on training sessions, but we get questions sometimes, where can I go to get invoices and things like that? That's just right here under billing. I don't have any because I being an employee of Seamless, they had the good graces to give me an account for myself so I could train and keep all of you educated. But if you go here in your account, this is where you'll see all of your billing information, and you can always make adjustments there. And then one quick shout out to the affiliate referrals program. So, if you're a fan of the product and you'd like to recommend it to your friends and colleagues, this is a great place to do it and earn a little bit along the way. Obviously, we'd love to see you share the news. You can sign up to be an affiliate right here and get access to more resources and materials that you can use to market Seamless and get it across your network. So just something to keep an eye on if you're interested. It's certainly not a requirement, but we always love to see people spreading the word. All right, so I'm going to once again take a little bit of a breath here and not seeing any questions come in. Questions are not required either, but I always want to make sure we're covering everything that you need. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and dive into the last bit of content that we'll cover today, and that's our social search in connection with the Chrome extension. So if I am, if I've got this search set up, right, and, I'm interested in the results that I'm finding here. Oh, one quick thing. I'm going to go ahead and report this to the product team. It looks like on the search screen, these guys are still saying researching, but I've got those saved. So they're here. There's Jill's contact information, right? So I'm going to quickly just refresh this page, and that should help me reset back. And yeah, looks like we're good to go on those. I'll give the product team a heads up. I've seen that pop up from time to time, that the interface on search will still say researching, but the data is actually there. So
yeah, and David, thanks for bringing that up too. That is something that the development team is taking care of right now. But if for any of those, anybody who does see that, you simply do exactly what David just did. Check in your My Contacts typically within a few seconds to upwards of maybe 30 seconds. Those will resolve. You'll see the information there, and then you should see that within My Contacts. On rare occasions, those do get kind of caught up in search. We are fixing that. But a simple refresh, you can go ahead and keep searching. But all that information is going to get loaded into your My Contacts. So don't fret, just keep moving, and we'll make sure it's all there for you.
Yeah, Jake, thanks for validating. Yeah, I had a feeling we were working on that right as we speak, but I didn't want to overpromise too much. Thanks for adding some additional context there. For context, everybody, Jake manages the development team, so he's got a great eye for the product. He's responsible for building out our product roadmap. If you ever have any ideas on things you'd like to see us add, all you have to do is open that help icon, hit contact us, send us exactly what you'd like to see. And then Jay can review it in scope of anything else we have coming up on our product roadmap for further evaluation. So Jake, thank you. That's actually really good to know that's getting a look right now. Very cool.
Yeah, and thank you for that call out. I mean, we are always looking for feedback from our customers and from our users.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
anything that you guys can provide, or anything that you think, hey, it'd be a little bit more efficient if it did this, or if you had this integration, or hey, I just had a random idea that I thought could be a good one. We are very open to that feedback. We take it and we act on it as much as we can. So keep us posted. Let us know any ideas you have, and we're more than happy to look how we can integrate that into the future product roadmap.
That's exactly right. So HubSpot integration, you know why that happened? People asked for it, and they kept asking for it. So we listened, we got it done, right? And now, as a result of that feedback, we actually have some resources on our development team that are dedicated exclusively to integrations moving forward. So we plan to move through many of those much more quickly. All right, well, I'm going to jump into search here and make sure that we get the rest of this covered for you folks. One thing I'll also show you, we looked at the contact search. I'm going to pull up the filters for company search here as well, just so you can get a view at that. And again, these are two separate searches that we built out to act against real-time data to get you, accurate information. If you're in the company search, you have access to additional filters here. Let's say I'm looking for architects, and I'm going to target a specific area. Maybe I'm going to look for California. So I could do that by popping open that all US, unchecking the box for everybody, and just selecting that state. I can even dial down into a region if I'd like to. And then I can also look at different filters as well around estimated revenue, employee size. So maybe I'm going to look for some small to mid-range shops in California. And then if I hit search here in companies, Seamless is going to pull in company data for me to review for these organizations. Now that's great. What if I want to see some contacts that work at these organizations? So we make that easy too. So I'm going to hit this select all button in a moment. What I want you to keep your eye on is the search functionality right over here. When I hit select all, these companies, I'm going to remove Nike, automatically populate over here as tags in the company filter. And then I can adjust my other fields accordingly. And let's say I want to look for owners. I can hit search, and now I'm finding owners at companies that match those parameters that I set. Or I'm finding that we don't have any data on that. So maybe I'll look for some keywords, look for some marketing folks there, pull in some contacts that way. So variety of ways to get to any of the data that you're looking for, right? So that's a little bit of insight into company search and how that operates. Contact search has different filters as well. Designed to help you target data, based on how it's set up and how our search engine pulls the data across those two fields. There is a way to have them work together. However, a lot of the customers we have that are, performing targeted searches within a certain region and trying to find contacts within geographies or industries or employee or revenue size, a lot of them are using our Chrome extension outside of the app to take advantage of other tools that they already have in place. So we're going to take a look at that in just a moment. I did have one question come in, and it actually is related to location, so I'm glad I took a look. In location, can you do a mile radius from a specific location? Great question. Natively from within the app, that's not a functionality that we have in place today. Really, your best bet at that point is to dial into specific areas. Because this is real-time search data, we're working with anything our search engine pulls in that helps us lock a company's data and information into a certain geographical area, right? And it's not to say that these are the only locations in Alabama that are being searched, but we're probably going to try to loop them into one of these in one way or another. So no way to do that with a radius, but to kind of take that question and dovetail into the next part of the demonstration, If I jump into LinkedIn or LinkedIn Sales Navigator, I'll show how our Chrome extension works and how it might help meet some of those needs. Now, to get there, I'm going to show us how I would get there from within the app first, right? So if I have my search set up, and I'm looking for with the keyword marketing. Oh, and one quick thing on the keywords as well. There's a Boolean logic that's at play here, right? So let's say I had this list in place and I noticed that, I'm starting to get some interns. Well, I don't want that. Well, I can add a minus, and with that Boolean logic, have that as a negative keyword so that it doesn't pull in anybody like poor Helga here, who I might not want to talk to. I want to talk to some VPs or principals, right? So you can continue to use those keywords there. And again, we do have some more knowledge-based resources on how to leverage that Boolean logic to tailor your list a little more specifically. But I got off topic there. Let's take a look at this particular search. But instead of hitting search, this time I'm going to hit social. And when I do that, it's going to pop me over into LinkedIn and run my search parameters against contacts here. So as you can see, the experience is layered directly over LinkedIn's interface. And I still have my pre-populated list of Nike DMs already pre-populated here. So if I wanted to find all of these contacts, I could go ahead and do that. I could find them individually as well. And if I continue the search into Sales Navigator, that's really where I'm going to be able to unlock a bunch of fields. And again, like we think LinkedIn's great. We've got a good relationship with them. Our founder, Brandon Berdanson, was actually one of the first people to get access to LinkedIn Live. So we think they're a really good partner. We're not necessarily an affiliate. We don't get any bonus for recommending tools like LinkedIn Sales Navigator. But we know from experience in working with our clients that a number of them have run a trial of LinkedIn Sales Navigator. If you haven't already tried it, you can get a 30-day free trial pretty easily. They've run it and they've used it in collaboration with our Chrome extension, and they've been able to make a case for tremendous ROI. So we always like sharing that. Anything that our users have done to help drive their own success, we like to spread the word and be evangelists of those circumstances so that you can try to replicate it. That's one of the reasons why I'm going to show this experience in here. So when it comes to geography, if I'm using the Chrome extension in LinkedIn Sales Navigator, I don't necessarily have the same ability to work within a radius, but I can go to postal code. I can set it to California, for instance, and look for Nike folks that are, hosted out there. I could even, at seniority level, try to just look for owners or CXOs, VPs, and even do some limitations that way. And maybe I want to perform one more function here. Let me see if I can tailor that even more to marketing. So if you are looking to really dial down and have some robust filters in place, that's probably the most frequent use case that we'll see people, if they're employing both Sales Navigator and the Chrome extension in collaboration with each other. So definitely something we recommend looking at, just because, like I said, a lot of our customers have seen tremendous success with it, and we like to spread the good word about it. Anything that we can help you replicate to repeat that success. A couple of pro tips on that front, if you are going to go down this route. You'll notice up here, 549 total results are pulled in. Before I had all these filters deployed, that number was a lot higher. LinkedIn already has their own, business rules in place about, page visits per day and that sort of thing. So we normally try to recommend keeping this search at 1,000 or less, and that way you can keep them organized and still stay within LinkedIn's terms and conditions and not have to, stop halfway through this list and then be told by LinkedIn, hey, man, we know you made it to page 8, but you're going to have to stop now, right? We want to try to set you up for success so that you're under that 1,000 lead limit and working through these lists in turn. That's one of the reasons why we have this feature available over here, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a new list, which I can do from within the Chrome extension. I'm going to go with Nike marketing DMs so that I have a separate list in place for these guys. And I'm going to hop over here into the app to show you that it updates automatically in real time in my contacts. That default list carries over from the app into the Chrome extension. Now the experience here is very much the same, just like that behavior I showed you earlier in the search within the app. I'm going to click Find All, and I'm going hands off here. This is just the app scrolling down the page to make sure LinkedIn knows that I'm a person. And then it's going to scroll back up, and it's sending all of those contacts over to my Seamless account, not only storing them on that list that I had set up as the default, but it's also performing validation against them to make sure that I'm catching that information, right? So, and I actually made my own little user error here because I didn't set Nike as a company. I had it as a keyword. So as a result, I'm pulling in some contacts that go across a couple of different companies, but this gives you a chance to look at what these searches look like, right? When you're pulling in not just by company, but also by region, seniority level, and key and functions like marketing. This is one of the reasons why we have a lot of customers that use the combination of Sales Navigator and the Chrome extension. They'll be able to look for people that match these parameters and go cross company and bring them all in. And again, one of the benefits here, right? So we found, one contact, Alexander, but when I look at the email validation, we haven't been able to validate an email yet for that contact. One of the biggest reasons people use this in collaboration with LinkedIn or LinkedIn Sales Nav, LinkedIn Sales Navigator comes with a variety of filters that you can deploy to narrow down your search, but you're not necessarily going to find updated information. You're reliant on the users to keep their information updated within LinkedIn, and that isn't always the case. I always give my wife a hard time because she still is listed as the managing director of a nonprofit theater on her LinkedIn profile, and she hasn't been doing that for 7 years. So that's why we want to have that validation performed in Seamless. And here's a good example of an accept all. We found this email address for Brian 230 times. We didn't quite get that firm confirmation back from the server, however, so we've got it listed as an accept all. Good to send it. It's always good to double check total AI on this as well. So this might be one of those accept all email addresses that you want to give some thought to. We want to make sure you have that information for anybody that you're pulling in from LinkedIn. As you can see, a much higher score here for this email address. Even though we didn't get that validation back from the server, scored really high on the AI, found it 546 times. So you can have much more confidence that that email address is correct. And as you can see, if we're not able to validate it to a high degree of confidence, we're not going to give it to you. We're going to make sure that you're set up for success on that front. Same here. We'll keep checking back, see if we can get some validation going. But in the meantime, we're going to be straight with you about the data. So again, the power user behavior, right, is to find all, hit next, and then move on through the next batch. Build your list accordingly, moving with confidence. If you find yourself hitting next and find all frequently, you're in good shape. And I'll be honest with you, I understand that that can feel kind of manual. We've evaluated ways to make it more automated, but honestly, we just really value staying within the LinkedIn's terms of services. And we've noticed that other products out there on the market that do have a little more automation and go a little more hands-off, they don't always end up falling within those terms of services, right? And they end up, getting bounced. But again, we're not scraping data. We want to remain good partners with LinkedIn, but still give you efficiencies that help you create these lists at scale. Honestly, this is exactly what a lot of people on our team will do. They'll set their parameters. They'll know that they're set up the way they want, and then they'll hit next and find all, and we'll be able to build out lists of contacts in the thousands really in a matter of minutes. There you go. All that information still being pulled back in. So again, the benefit here is that you're able to keep these contacts organized at scale, but also perform additional validation at scale to make sure that it's the correct information. And then you can move directly from Sales Navigator, get the leads populated into Seamless, have those leads then automatically populate into HubSpot or Salesforce, or through the power of Zapier directly into your Gmail, your MailChimp, your Mojo, your SalesLoft, any of the other apps that you're using. All right. Well, that covers pretty much all of the content we wanted to look at today. Again, you can always reach us for help right down here. Search our knowledge base for any of the information you're looking for, including some best practices for using LinkedIn and using the Chrome extension in collaboration with LinkedIn. And then if you don't find the answer you're looking for, just reach out to our team here. Let us know where you're looking for help. Heck, even if you pull a data set and you're kind of, hey, it's a pretty good accuracy on the phone numbers, but I want to make sure everything's above board. Always feel free to attach a data file, a video of what you're looking at, anything that's going to help us diagnose and set you up for success, whether it's how to use the platform or how to make use of the data that you find with the platform. We want you to be successful in what you do. We want you to be great at marketing your product and getting it out in the hands of people who need it. That's what drives us. That's what we're passionate about. So please always feel free to reach out to us so we can provide more support there. There's lots of on-demand training as well. We want to help you be as self-sufficient as possible. Um, and yeah, like I said, that pretty much covers everything we were going to look at. I don't see any other questions coming in. But I'm going to take another moment here to pause, take a breath, see if there are any left, because we certainly have 11 minutes, and I'd be more than happy to jump in.
And the last thing that I'll do too, well,
Yeah,
in
please,
case
Jake.
anybody is, thinking of any questions or typing any questions at the moment, is just reiterate a few things that David said. So from a product standpoint, there's really two things that are going to make you most successful. It's cast a wide net, use the unlimited to its fullest potential. Go out there, you're looking for C-levels, find C-levels, find VPs, find directors. And, the benefit of using Seamless is that you do have unlimited contacts. So you can reach out to more people than you maybe would have to if you were, nitpicking on a credit system or something like that. So get out there, reach out to a lot of people, cast a wide net, reach out to an account and see which way you can best fit into the sale and find that right person, because it may not be a direct approach. It may be through somebody else, and through kind of a warm introduction. So utilize that approach as well, and utilize the unlimited for what it's worth. And then also, consistently get in there and build lists. Use the real-time nature of the platforms. So instead of building a list of 10,000 contacts and then saying, all right, I'm set for the next 6 months, set yourself up for an hour a week. Go ahead, build a list for the week, and use that real time for the next 7 days, and then build the next list for the next week. It is the only real time search engine out there, so you're getting real time data. So on a daily or weekly basis, get in there, use Seamless, build your list, wide and far, and reach out to as many people as you can, because I think we all know that, for the most part, sales is a numbers game. Get out in front of people and get your product out there, and find the right person to sell to. So those are two things that really just take the fullest advantage of Seamless. And I just wanted to make sure to reiterate that, because David, you did a great job of demoing the product, but that was my last 2 points there.
Oh, absolutely, Jake. Yeah, we can't emphasize that enough. The shaking off some of the old learned behaviors from the database days is critical to maximizing your success on this platform. So you can definitely take Jake's advice at heart. He knows this product probably as well as anybody. So you couldn't ask for a better advisor on how to use it. And like I said, the social proof is there. It's exactly how our most successful customers are using it, and we hope you see that success as well. Well, so we'll go ahead and wrap up for the day. Class is dismissed a little bit early. Thank you for getting a few questions in there. We really appreciate it. And like we mentioned, this will be available in the Knowledge Center with the rest of the demo videos that we have recorded. And please feel free to reach out with questions, thoughts, recommendations, 2 cents right here in the help icon at the bottom. Thank you for attending. We hope you have a great and productive rest of your week. Plenty of ramp time to make sure that you close some more business before end of day and before end of day tomorrow. So thank you again. We're really privileged to be a part of your success and getting your product out into the right hands. We take that seriously. Please give us a shout if there's ever anything we can do to help. And thank you for your time and attention this afternoon. Take care, everybody.
Thanks so much, everybody.